Honda's landscaping crews out in force. You know, we are expecting the TLX to be discontinued by this summer. The Marysville auto plant that produces it, they would rather make EVs. And the TLX has its own issues. We know the reduction of production, not only in the TLX, but the Accord. Okay, the Accord isn't going anywhere, but its sales aren't looking good either right now. And there's another model in their lineup whose sales are dogging. Ridgelines are piling up across the nation. Their pickup truck. We're seeing massive discounts on it, up to $7,300, and that's for leasing, I believe. And so what's happening is that you can lease a brand new Ridgeline, the base model, the Sport, in some cases for less than an entry-level CRV, right? There's about a $10,000 difference in MSRPs from a base Ridgeline to a base CRV, but they're leasing for about the same right now based off of the lease discounts that are going on. Is Honda about ready to cancel their only pickup truck they have available in North America? Grab your snacks and drinks, buckle in, and let's try to solve this mystery. Guys, if you were excited for my Honda Passport Trail Sport driving impressions, I'm leaving next week. I am going to Puerto Rico to drive it. So I'll take it through the jungles there, and I'm excited to see how well this unibody tackles off-roading. Unibodies, in my experience, do really well off-roading with their all-wheel drive systems. It's that typically their suspension in their body just doesn't feel natural to them. It feels like they're being overstressed. So I'm excited to see what the Trail Sport is like off-road with its beefed up off-road suspension, skid plates, meaty tires, etc. So anyways, the Passport is coming with a 4% financing rate at launch, but it's only for 36 months. And then it's like 5% for 60 months. That's going to be the most common one, or 6% for 72 months. Anyways, let's get back to the Ridgeline. I think most of us were expecting that the Ridgeline would get the sort of styling, front-end styling that the new Passport has, which the new Passport's a styling home run. The backpack design, the real boxy looks, the practicality of it. It's really impressive. I love I'm a sucker for a fake hood scoop. What can I say? So are those improvements going to be brought over to the Ridgeline? Well, it would make sense. It would make sense, would it not? Looking at sales of the Ridgeline, well, it's never been an amazing selling truck compared to American standards. In 2006, it sold 50,000. 2023 sold 52,000, so its best year ever. And then we saw a 7,000 drop. And in 2025, well, this is obviously the year is not finished yet, but it's going to be a continuous decline from 45,000. And looking at their sales here so far in 2025, if we look at the Ridgeline, look at this big drop, minus 16% on the year and minus 18% on the month of February. So the volume is shrinking noticeably on the Ridgeline. Again, they're having to over-incentivize it, so they're going to reduce production to keep up with the lack of demand. While we're at it, let's just see what kind of Honda Ridgelines are in my area. Quite a few, 424 Ridgelines. One of its biggest competitors, the Tacoma, the best-selling model, has 1,800. Let's say Toyota wants to sell 200,000 Tacomas. Honda's been selling about, let's say they sell 40,000 Ridgelines this year. The inventory should be about 5-to-1 in favor of the Tacoma. Okay, so if we take 1,800 divided by, what do we have for the Ridgeline? 424. So it's about a 4-to-1. So there's more inventory for Honda relative to the Tacoma and also relative to their annual sales. So there are more Ridgelines available seemingly than there would be the typical buying customer, if I'm making any sense there. So we have some discounts going on even in my area. Lowest price. We're seeing Ridgeline Sports for $38, but remember, this doesn't even include that discount of about $7,000 for lease. So you might be able to lease based off of this $38,000 plus the $7,000 incentives. So you're leasing about a $30,000 Ridgeline here. Let me know if you've been in the market for a Ridgeline lease lately. Have you been seeing deals? Are they willing to whittle down the price to go ahead and offload their Ridgeline? I'm very interested. Now, this model is made in Lincoln, Alabama, where they have other large platform vehicles like the Odyssey, the Passport, the Pilot. And there are rumors going around. Take this with a grain of salt. There are rumors going around that the Ridgeline is not due for a next generation or even a new refresh like the Passport got. The talks are that the Ridgeline would end production and it's on assembly line 1 with the Odyssey. Now, there are also talks that assembly line 1 is going to be converted to an EV line. All right. And then assembly line 2 will continue to build the large platform vehicles, and that the Ridgeline is not a part of that future of the Lincoln, Alabama plant where they are going to also co-produce EVs there. So that would afford larger capacity on the Odyssey, the Passport, the Pilot. And maybe Honda starts building a large platform or large EVs from Lincoln, Alabama, as well, as it seems to be the expertise of the plant. These are the biggest Hondas in the world, if you're not counting the Honda Jet or something, right? Honda North America builds the largest Hondas. Everywhere else, they're very, very small. That's why they call it the Honda Global Platform for something like the HR-V and the CR-V. And you see that platform used all over the world for anything larger than a K car. And then these are really specific for North America. Now, here's my thing. Let's say the Ridgeline gets killed. Let's say, they ramp up a volume for the Pilot, the Passport, and the Odyssey as they share a new assembly line together. It's unfortunate. The Ridgeline's a fine truck, and the Ridgeline just looks terrible. It always has looked, even the first generation, some people are a fan of the first generation Ridgeline because it's so funky looking. But the Ridgeline as it is right now is really ugly. Even all the refreshes they did to it, it is still ugly. It looks like the old Pilot up front. It looks like a soft crossover. As macho as they try to make it, it doesn't look anywhere close to as good as the new Passport. So when you're talking about a truck, and if your truck looks less than macho in today's market, or not, like, it can look cute. If you look at the Maverick still has, it looks like a shrunken down F-150 in some ways, but it's got some cutesiness to it. There's nothing cute about a Ridgeline. Then you add to the fact that Honda, being one of the best hybrid producers in the world, can't figure out how to bring a hybrid not only to their truck, but to the rest of the large platform vehicles from the Odyssey, the Passport, and the Pilot as well. And that has shot the Ridgeline in the foot, as the Maverick is just charging seemingly whatever it wants, historically anyways. I don't know what the economy is doing to that truck right now. Ford has been able to jack up prices on the Maverick because there's no competition. Hyundai fumbled the Santa Cruz out of the gate with a no hybrid, and Honda has been fumbling the large platform lack of hybrids for a long time now, decades, despite them having excellent hybrids for their global models. It's just that it seems like Honda only has enough R&D to make one powertrain for their large platform here in North America. Somehow, Acura got the green light for a 3-liter V6 turbo that's only used in the MDX and the TLX. And meanwhile, their large platform Honda vehicles and Acura vehicles cannot get a hybrid. That makes no sense to me. It seems like they could have spent a lot of that R&D on that 3-liter turbo for hybrids or performance hybrids, and that would have been able to transcend the Honda Acura badging and different lineups that they have. But instead, the design and the lack of a hybrid, in my opinion, is what is likely to kill the Ridgeline. If you look at the TLX is not officially canceled, but it's like 99% a done deal in my opinion. The TLX's packaging on the inside is worse than the cheaper Integra. The TLX's high performance is not quite as good maybe as the Germans. It's too cramped and too compromised of a product, the TLX. And, Acura saw that as one of the things for them to kill off to make ways for maybe their new EV lineup. New EV sedan is a possibility. Look, Honda's doing an EV sedan. We know that the RSX EV is coming. So it is what it is. I don't see actually a future for the Ridgeline in the near future, seemingly. It doesn't look good. Now, could they bring an EV pickup truck? Absolutely. They could bring an EV pickup truck made in Lincoln, Alabama. Would people be more or less interested than the current Ridgeline? I don't know. It doesn't sound that exciting to me. If you want an electric pickup truck, you have Rivian. What else? You have Ford, right? So their option, those trucks aren't exactly printing money for their companies. What is another solution here? Well, Honda is not averse anymore to working with Nissan and Mitsubishi, especially Mitsubishi, it seems like. There's a new truck plant coming online in Mexico, which maybe that's all up for debate now with the tariffs. But there's a new production plant coming online in Mexico for Nissan and Mitsubishi to build trucks. Maybe Honda could get on that as well as they kill the Ridgeline. Or maybe Honda, the simplest thing, would just to be to rebadge the Frontier. The Frontier is fantastic. It's my favorite midsize pickup truck. I'd pick it every single day of the week over the Ridgeline or the Tacoma, for example. It's really, really good. Big V6, silky smooth suspension and transmission. It feels old school. It's great, and it's very affordable. You can get great deals on the Frontier, but it's not a Honda at all. And I think Honda people might be disinterested unless they crush the styling on something like a new Ridgeline based off the Frontier, and maybe it looks super good like the new Passport does. And that's, I mean, Nissan's made the Frontier worse looking with their most recent refresh. One was behind me yesterday, and I'm like, man, that's god ugly from the front, if that makes sense. I don't know if god ugly is even a proper description, but it was terrible. All right, so thank you guys for watching. I got to shut this down. Let me know if you think the Ridgeline has a short shelf life at this point. Do you think Honda is going to continue on with it, with Passport styling, or do you think that because of the incentives they're getting slapped on this vehicle, the lack of demand, Honda's just like, hey, it's time to pull the plug on it, cut our losses, and move on. And maybe we can employ Nissan's truck making expertise in the future when we want to get back in the pickup game. It's too sad. If this had a hybrid and if it looked as good as a Passport, I think it would be just a money mint for Honda. 35 miles per gallon. Maybe even they had a V6 hybrid, 30 miles per gallon. All right. There's just so many things they could have done to it to make it better. And it seems like Honda would rather much spend that money on EVs, which is fine. I guess that's investing in the future. They see the future as fully electric. And they're like, well, we're not really worried about the here and the now because electric's going to be permeating the lineup by 2030 and then fully electric by 2040. But maybe that's not the truth. Maybe unless there's a legislation forcing that, which doesn't look to be the case anymore, maybe without that legislation, that sort of electric future is not going to be here that fast. Who knows when it'll come? But Honda should have had hybrids here on their pickup truck and their large platform, and it's continuing to crush them, in my opinion. Time will tell, though. Can you imagine the new Passport launching with a hybrid with 30 miles a gallon or 35 miles per gallon even? There's a reality where that could have happened. But instead, looks like we're going to get a cancellation of the Ridgeline where they build EVs on that assembly line instead. Who knows? I'll see you guys in the comments. I know this is a very speculative video. I'm not going to source my sources, but I have reason to believe that, these discounts are a huge red flag for the Ridgeline meeting its end maybe the next year or two. Who knows? Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the comments. Pour one out for the Ridgeline. I might off camera. Have a good day and peace.